G'day all and welcome back to Nat's Knacker's Yard with a slightly less frustrated Nat because I've done some thinking. No mechanicking this time round. This is just a kind of exposure into the weird and wonderful thing that is my mind. It's also so I can try out a little bit of new tech that I've got. I've given myself an early Christmas present. I bought a radio mic which is currently attached to me and attached to the camera, and it means that you shouldn't get any change in volume or whatever as I move around, which is cool. Yeah, I think I'll stick a link to the bottom in case anyone's interested. Charlie, you might be interested, mate, because it might be a good way of keeping the microphone away from Sultan, if nothing else. The SV, what was it doing with me? It was doing my head in because there's something electrical. I'm adamant there's something electrical. So fortunately I do have some history on this bike and went back to looking at one of the pictures, and I'll throw it up here. Well, that's not there anymore. So as you can see from that video, from that picture, you can see the rectifier set up the back. Now, when I was looking, I couldn't see one. I looked more closely and thought, oh, hang on, well, that must be it. That doesn't look right. So, took it off, had a look. So, rectifier is not for an SV650, it's for a CBR, which then suddenly made sense because the starter solenoid that I bought an SV650 one, and it didn't fit because the plug was different. It's not that one, it's elsewhere. That's a CBR 600 starter solenoid. So at some point some jiggery pokery has gone on with the wiring within this. There's a comment on the blog about it having about it blowing rectifiers in the past. So whether or not that's been changed and changed out at some point. Now, what I think has happened is the rectifier's gone. Then when I chucked it on the car with the engine running, there was nothing to smooth out the electricity going through or the current going through, and it's blown the CDI. So I have ordered a new CDI. I then had a sudden panic of, oh shite, is this a complete CBR wiring harness or just elements thereof? So the CDI that I've bought, will it fit? And it looks like it will. But as I was taking off the CDI, doesn't look too bad actually. But this has had a major fire at some point because the plug was effectively melted on. Now, it may well work, it may be fine, but that really isn't going to help. So what do I think? I think the rectifier's gone or has issues. I think the current blew the CDI. So I've got a new rectifier for a CBR 600. So the same as that, with the same plug, more importantly. Unfortunately, before I noticed that, I did order a rectifier for an SV650. How stupid was I? It's got different plugs on it, so it's not going to fit this wiring anymore. So I've ordered a new CDI as well, managed to get one quite cheap. And I've also ordered a wiring loom. Now, I don't really want to go and replace the entire loom, but I've got one if I do need to. But what I do want to do is replace that plug, because I just don't like the look of that. Look at that, it's melted to hell, and it was almost, I mean, it was on, it was covered in tape, which is always a bad sign, I reckon. So I'll replace that plug as well when the loom gets here. I will try it when the CDI and the rectifier gets here, or regulator rectifier. I will try that beforehand just to see if I get any spark before I start messing around too much with the plug, because it has worked in the past. But would you trust that? I mean, the actual pins themselves don't look too bad, but yeah, don't trust it. So I intend to either cut the plug off and put the new plug on, which is probably the most likely option, or I'll just go for the whole shindig. I'll see how I look. But yeah, so that'll do me for now. Yeah, the advantage of having a little bit of history on a bike, snapshot through a blog so I can look back as to how it was at some point. Obviously I don't know what's happened to it between then and now. I do have the now shot. So yeah, it's still confusing me, it's still fighting me a little bit, but I think it's starting to come a little bit clearer with a bit of thinking. apologies for a slightly dull update. This is basically to check out my new tech as much as anything else, but just so that you get an insight into the kind of thinking that you'll need to do on a project like this, and it's not all just turning spanners as much as that would be fun. Right, cheers all. I'm expecting my bits and pieces to arrive tail end of the week, so I should be good for the weekend to give it a go. And I'm going to shelve the SV just for a week or so, just so I calm down on the epoxy thing. Now, I think I know what it is. I think it's just there is a need to change to reset the clutch after you've played with the clutch basket. But I did notice when I was doing it on the inside of that clutch basket, there are some scrapes where, inside of the cover, sorry, there are some scrapes where I think the basket is catching. So I'm going to need to pull that off again and do it again. And it looks like I've got a small leak where I've not done the bolt up enough. But yeah, disadvantage with having more than one project on the go at a time is the fact that you find yourself distracted from one to the other. The advantage is that you can just shelve one for a little bit when it starts to piss you off a little bit and move on to another one and just bounce your frustrations from one to another. Right, cheers all. I will catch you later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Share the wealth. Cheers. Catch you later.